How is everyone doing? Today being a Friday, we are having art. We are having art. And in this art class, we are going to be drawing with crayons. We shall be drawing with crayons. We can also use crayons to draw shapes, objects, anything. We can use crayons just the way we use pencils and pens. We can also use crayons to draw shapes. We can use crayons to write numbers. We can use crayons to write letters, and we can still use crayons to shade. In this video, we are going to learn some of those things. Let's proceed. But first and foremost, we start with our vocabulary. We shall be looking at our vocabulary, some of the words that we are going to learn in this lesson. For example, vocabulary 1, shading. We shall see what shading is. 2, twisted line. Twisted line. We are going to see what a twisted line shading is. Slanting. 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 We shall see what slanting shading is. And lastly, we have vertical. 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 We shall be seeing what vertical shading is. And now, before we get into all that, let's first learn how to hold the crayons or our crayons. And how do we hold crayons? Well, this is how we do it. We hold crayons between the thumb and index finger, supporting with the middle fingers. We hold crayons between the thumb and index finger, supporting with the middle finger. Just like in the picture, we hold crayons with the thumb. This is the thumb and the index finger. That's why we are able to make these lines. All these lines that you see, we are able to make them because we hold the crayon between the thumb and the index finger. And now on to shading. This is what we mean by shading. When you keep on rubbing color on top of color. Okay, shading is when we keep on rubbing color on top of color. But rubbing on color on top of color has different kinds of names. When we shade like this from bottom to up or up to bottom, we call that vertical shading. When we shade from up to down or down to up, we call that vertical shading. And how do we call that color? Well, we learned about colors. How do you call that color? Can someone guess? Can you guess? Can you guess? Yes, that is red. That is red. So in this case, they use color red to show us what vertical shading is. Next, what's that color? What's that color? And what's that kind of shading? Well, we call this twisted line shading. It's the type of shading where we move in circles or circular form. Okay, we move in circles or circular form. So you see, it went on round and round and round and round and round until created a bigger shading. Now, assignment. For this lesson's assignment, you will make a video while using crayons to make lines and shapes of anything of your choice. make a video while using crayons to make lines and shapes of anything of your choice. You make sure you mention the color, okay? Mention the color of your crayon before you start drawing or making a line or shading. Make sure you tell us what color it is. Now, we are going to proceed to watch a few videos about shading and making of lines and shapes using crayons.
So students, here we are. Our materials for today are crayon palette and paper. So this is a crayon, okay? Let's use this crayon to see what I'm trying to talk about. We've talked about vertical shading. So we shall start with color orange. We shall use color orange for the vertical example. So you hold your pencil between your index finger. So we hold our crayon between our thumb and index finger. And the rest of the fingers, they'll help you to hold the paper. So, vertical, we shade from up to down, okay? With vertical shading, you shade from up to down, and you can fill up your entire art book or paper, okay? This is vertical shading. Now, with slanting shading, let's use color purple. This is color purple. Still, we hold our crayon between our thumb and index finger. With slanting shading, it's in the opposite direction, okay? We shade while slanting. From up to down, but in the opposite direction. That is slanting. You can still fill your art book or your paper, whatever you're using to shade, okay? Okay. And lastly, we've got twisted line shading. So which color should we use? Okay. Let's pick this brown. With twisted line shading, we can shade in circles or twisted form. Okay. You go in a circular motion or twisted form, and you can shade in your entire art book or paper. But remember kids, we are having fun with crayons. For this part of the video, we are going to see what we can do with crayons. We are going to see what we can create with crayons. We said we can use crayons to make lines. Today we shall concentrate on using crayons to make lines. So for today's video, the materials are a piece of paper. You can get a piece of paper. If you have an art book, you can use your art book. And then we have crayons. Okay, these right here are crayons. We shall be using those materials to see what we can do with crayons. But for today's class, we shall concentrate on making lines. So I'll put these away. And then I'm going to choose color red. This is color red. We say we have how many types of lines? We have straight lines, we have vertical lines, okay, horizontal lines. So for our picture one, let's draw a circle. For our picture one, let's draw a circle. So we've used this crayon to create a circle. That's step 1. Then we can also use another crayon. What color is this? This is yellow. We can also use this crayon to make another type of line. We can draw a dotted line. Since we are considering dotted line, make sure you press very hard on the piece of paper or in your art book. Okay, this is a yellow dotted line. And use that. We can also use more crayons to make other kinds of lines. This is crayon that is green. This is a green crayon. We are going to make straight lines using this green crayon. In this case, make sure you hold down your paper so that your work doesn't get disorganized. And that's it. We've used this green crayon to create straight lines. And we've drawn a triangle. We've used this crayon to create straight lines that has helped us come up with a shape that is a triangle. So we've drawn a circle, dotted line, and straight line, and we've come up with a triangle. We can also use crayons. We can also use crayons to write numbers. We can also use crayons to write numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can also use crayons to write numbers. And also we can use crayons to write letters. A, B, C. Okay, A, B, C. What else can we use crayons for? What do you think? What do you think we can use crayons for? Let me give you a few minutes to think about it. Well, we can also use crayons to create other